Hey everybody, it's Grant from theplayersaid.com. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a playthrough. I'm not going to go into great depth or detail about the rules at the start. I'll give you kind of a summary of what you're supposed to do. But then I'm just going to play through it and we'll discuss points as we come to it so that you can better understand it. This playthrough is intended to kind of show you what this game is about. How it plays, whether you'd be interested in it or not. So the game that we're looking at today, let me grab the cover. It's actually a very cool little game. It's a solitaire game from White Dog Games called World War Z USA. And the USA distinction is important because the designer, David Kershaw, there you can see at the bottom, has mentioned, I think this was designed in 2014 or 2015 for the Board Game Geek print and play war game contest. He actually won that contest, so you can tell it's an interesting little game. It's fun, but he had stated, I think in some designer notes that I read, that he would like to expand this into other regions, maybe Mexico or Canada, and even maybe over in Europe. So this is a zombie game, so it's not necessarily a war game. You be the judge whether it's a war game or not. It's more of a fun game, I guess is what I'm going to say. It's very enjoyable. There is a lot of randomness. Anytime you're going to use dice for a majority of your decisions, from where the Zeds are going to pop up to where they're going to move to how your attacks go against them, your research rolls, etc. Even your action points are determined by a die roll. They're called player points, I think. So there's a lot of randomness. So just understand that. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. The game you can see it's a map of the continental United States. It stretches from California on the west. You can see all the way to the East Coast and then goes down to Texas. And at the top, you have the Great Plains. They're divided into regions, not always named for the cities or states that they're near. For instance, you can see up here in Northwest, that should be, Seattle area, Portland, Washington, etc. But it's called Northwest. Then you have the Great Plains. Here you have Wisconsin, etc. That's called New York, New York City. Washington, D.C. is kind of made up of Virginia and D.C. D.C. is a blip. But yeah, that's a look at the map. There are some boxes. Here you have that's going to track your points. You've got your player points. Got to turn this over. Your research points, food points, because you got to feed these people. And then you have airstrike points. You also have a DEFCON. DEFCON is going to measure your readiness to respond to the outbreak, and will decide what types of troops you can buy. And we'll go ahead and look at that here because that's important to the game. When you drop down to 4, you can only recruit National Guard troops and you can begin to build forts. When you drop down to 3, you can recruit the rest of your armies and you can start using your airstrikes. Before that, you can't. So you do have Marines, you have U.S. Army units. You also have a unit called the Survivalist. The Survivalist, when refugees are killed in an area, these are going to pop up and they will then fight the zombies. They represent your better prepared citizenry. 2 is biochemical weapons, very powerful, something you're going to want to get towards. And then nukes are kind of a last resort. If it's going really poorly for you, you need to get down to that 1 level and then you can start blowing things up. But you got to remember, it blows up your stuff too. Your goal in this game is to protect your 10 cities shown throughout the map and your 11 farms, and to try to eradicate the spread of zombies. Ultimately, you can end the game early. I've ended it as early as turn 7, but I think you can do it at 6 or 5 if you get lucky. But then you're going to score a number of victory points based on how many farms you have left, how many cities you have left, how many refugees are left, areas that are open, etc. You're going to then look at a chart and say, hey, I did really terribly. That's what I've done most of the time. Or I did really well. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. I will talk about it as we move through. The rules are fairly simple, but it did take me a play or two just to get used to it. Some of the nuances. There's a lot of nuances about movement of the Zeds, how you attack them, how they can attack you, but you get to attack first, different things, positioning of units, etc. Trying to build up your food reserves so you can feed your people, riots. There's all kinds of different elements. So the first thing we're going to do on turn one, we're going to skip the random events phase. At the beginning of every round, you're going to roll a couple D6. The red one is always going to represent the first number, and the black is the second. So if that's the result, 66, I'm going to look on that chart. I'm going to find number 66. We'll read it, and then we're going to enact that special action. About 60% of them are bad. About 40% are good for you. I have got more of the bad ones than I've gotten the good, but sometimes you get 2 or 3 good ones and you're like, dang, that's awesome. So then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to determine a random region where these Zeds are going to spawn. We're going to roll these 2d6. We rolled a 5 and a 5. And that's not a 55. We're going to refer to this chart. It's called the random region table. Across the top, you go to the 5 column. Then you go down to the 5 row. The outbreak is going to start in the Carolinas. So not great. I was hoping for you guys it would start out here so I could really show you how you could do really, really, really well. So another principle that's important to remember, sorry, I had to move that one up because I had moved it down. There's a thing called Z burst size. There's a minimum and a maximum. We'll talk about that here in a minute. At the start, you're going to do a Z burst max in the area that was rolled. So we're going to put 5 Zeds in the Carolinas. This is called Z Phase 1. It operates a little bit differently than Z Phase 2. We'll talk about those nuances here, but then we're going to start rolling through it. So you place the 5. During Z Phase 1, those Zeds are hungry. They're going to attack. So immediately they're going to destroy your farm. Your farm is important. It not only scores you points at the end of the game. I'm going to lift this thing up. There we go. A little more light. Scores you points at the end of the game, but that's how you're going to end up ultimately feeding your people and your cities. They're going to starve and riot if you don't have enough food. So we're going to kill that. And anytime you kill a farm, you're going to do what's called a D6Z. All that means is you're going to roll a 6-sider. I rolled a 4. You're going to compare that to the Z minimum or the Z maximum. If I rolled a 1 or a 2, I would produce 1 or 2 Zeds. Or I'm sorry, go up to 2 Zeds the minimum. If I roll above the Z minimum, I'm always going to go to the maximum. If I roll above the maximum, I'm not going to place 6 zombies, I'm going to place 5. We're going to go down to the Z max. This is set up as a part of the setup. This is the basic game. That can be manipulated with different types of zombies, different difficulties. So at this point, I rolled a 5. We're going to place 5 zombies to represent the destruction of that farm. Now you've got 10 zombies. Z phase number 1 is done. They have attacked. Every Z phase is going to stop once they've ultimately attacked. Now we're going to go to Z phase 2. Z phase 2 is a little bit different. We're going to spawn the Z minimum in the area that has the most zombies or Zeds. So here we've only got them in one area. The Z minimum is a 2. Remember, look here. So we're going to put 2 additional zombies in that area, and we're going to break them in half. We're going to break them into 2 equal groups because they're going to move. Anytime the Zeds are going to move, you're going to break them in half. When they move into a new area, the rules are a little unclear, but I have started, when they move into a new area, you reset the stacks and redistribute. So if you move into an area with only 2 guys that were there and you had 6, you're now going to add them together to 8. You're going to divide them into 2 stacks of 4. That stack of 4 is going to move. So now we've divided them. There are no targets, and during the second zombie phase, they always have to move before they attack. You'll also notice on the board, there are these dice symbols. Don't mind the colors. They're just doing that to kind of differentiate when they've got multiple die faces shown at the same time. So we're going to roll a d6. I rolled a 6, so you look here. That means the largest stack is going to move down to Florida. And, well, here's a target. They're going to destroy this city. So this city gets removed. That takes away my victory points. You're going to place what's called a refugees token. And now you're going to spawn the Z max from killing a city. You'll remember for the farm, we only did a DCZ or a D6Z. So I had a chance of only getting 2. When you do a city at such a large population area, it automatically is going to spawn 5 zombies. But the good news is Z phase 1 is over. It's done. So at the most, during any Z phase, 2 groups of zombies in 2 different areas or potentially the same area are going to move. So now, congratulations, we survived that. We're now going to go to the player phase. Typically, at the start of the player phase, the first thing you do is roll for research. I have no research points. My research points are 0. I can't roll a 0 on a 6-sider, so we skip that. Next, we're going to look at riots. So riots are simple. It's a very complicated mathematical formula. Your total farms, and we have lost 1 farm, but we have 2, 4, 6, 8. We have 10 total farms. You're going to compare that, farms and your food stocks. We have 0 at this point. We're going to compare that to the number of cities and refugees on the map. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So we're going to have to place 1 riot counter. Is that right? Yeah, they killed a farm. Bummer. So we're going to take a riot counter. The priority order for that is available refugees. So the refugees there in Florida are rioting. They're mad. So all that means is I can't move them. I cannot score them at the end of the game the same way I would score refugees that have no riot counters. And I have to remove that in order to be able to move them and for them to score their highest points. My guess is they're ultimately going to end up getting killed at the beginning of the next phase, so I'm not going to worry about it at this point. So that's riots. That demonstrates the importance of keeping your farms alive, but also building up your food stores. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to try to put at least 1 point into food stores. Next, we're going to roll for our player points. And at the start of the game, you're going to roll 1d6, and it's going to act as a d3. A roll of 1 to 2 is going to give you 1. A 3 or 4 is going to give you 2. A 5 or 6 is going to give you 3. Later on, you're going to add 1 to that roll, and ultimately you're going to round 3 or higher roll 2d6. It's 2d3, and you're going to get those numbers. So we're going to go ahead. Of course, I rolled a 1, which is terrible, because I'm trying to show you how this game works, but that's not going to do anything for us because I'm not going to be able to move DEFCON down. I'm not going to be able to invest into food. I'm probably going to go ahead and just invest into research at this point. So I will spend my 1 player point to invest in research. So I move that research up. Research is very important because you're going to get breakthroughs in biochemical weapons. You're going to be able to change the Z strength and toughness. We'll talk about that later. Reduce the Z burst minimum and maximum. There's just different things that you can do. Very important to get that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to risk that, it's going to go badly for me. I'm going to tell you. Usually I get at least 2 the first round and something good happens. So that's all I can do. If I had a military unit in an area with a Z's counter, I could now attack for free. I don't have that, so that's the end of turn 1. So we're going to move the counter down to turn 2. We're now going to start the next phase with the random event. So we're going to roll 2d6, with the red being the first, so that's a 46. We're going to look, and I'll have to flip this over. I may not show this to you every time, but I'll show it to you here this first time. Secondary burst. Z phase 1 burst happens in the second largest groups of Zs this turn. So not terrible, but yeah, whatever. So Z phase 1 burst is going to happen in the second largest group. So as you know, we only have 2 areas where Zs are. We're going to find, now that we did the random event phase, we now move into Z phase 1. Most zombies, you've got 11. This one only has 2, or I'm sorry, 6. So 11 is going to happen here. So what do? We have to do a zombie burst, normally a Z burst, according to the max. So we're going to add 5 zombies. Typically we would add them here, but because of that random event, we're going to add it here. That doesn't change anything at this point. This is the group that's going to move. So we have to divide those 11 zombies into 2 equal stacks. During the first Z phase, they can attack. So they're going to go ahead and eat these rioting refugees, which is okay. It loses me points, but ultimately now I don't have to worry about feeding them. And it's going to spawn what is called a survivalist. So we're going to put a survivalist token there. And because they were eaten, we're going to do a D6Z. We rolled a 4. Z max is 5. We're going to add 5 zombies. So them killing that group of refugees added zombies to the horde. And there, Z phase 1 is done of turn 2. So now we go to Z phase 2. We have to find first the largest group. This is the largest group still. You have 16 there. We're going to add the minimum burst, which is 2. Remember, Z minimum. And now that adds 18, so we're going to have 2 groups of 9. Remember, you divide them equally. So let's go ahead and move that over. Sorry, this is a little bit clunky because I'm trying to videotape and show you everything. Normally, this would be pretty fast. So 2 groups of 9. They can't attack until they move, so we're going to roll a 6-sider. We rolled a 6. A 6 puts them back into the Carolinas. So there are 11 zombies there added to the 9. That means we're going to divide these groups into 2 groups of 10. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off. I'll put those there. 2 groups of 10. You can see the bigger things there. And we're going to roll again. Because they don't have a target, they have to find a target before their turn will end. So they roll a 2, they're going to go up to New York or Washington, D.C. So that group's going to move in there. They're going to attack the city at D.C., create a refugees counter, and a D6Z is going to be spawned. It's going to spawn 5. But we survived. Now you can see the zombies are starting to spread. It's starting to get a little bit out of control. And because I had a bad first turn, didn't roll very well on my actions, we're hampered. Usually I will have had this DEFCON down and some food preparing to stave off riots, but I didn't get that chance. All right, so we're going to go to the player phase. Research roll. I'm trying to roll 1 or less. Well, shoot. I rolled a 1, and I'm going to count it. It rolled off the board. I'm going to count it. So that means we're going to reduce the research by that amount. So I'm going to reduce it by 1, and we had a breakthrough. Now I flip that over as well, because now that reminds me, and this is something specific for the biochemical weapons, it means I've had a breakthrough. So when I finally get to DEFCON 2 and I have another breakthrough, I can develop biochemical weapons. Biochemical weapons are very, very important. So research, boom. We're now going to do riots. Once again, you count up 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 farms, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So I don't have any riots because I have enough food to feed my cities and my refugees. We're going to go now to roll our player points. We're going to roll a D6 and add 1, a D3. So I rolled a 4. That's going to give me 2 plus the 1. I'm going to get 3 player points. So that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and spend 1 to increase my research. Let's spend 1 to increase my food stores. The good thing about food stores is they don't go away unless you have a negative event that takes them away. You'll notice I moved my research down once I had a breakthrough. That doesn't happen in the food. And that is not clearly written in the rules, but it does not say that it will be reduced. Then I'm going to take my other point and I'm going to lower DEFCON to number 4. So now that I'm at 4 DEFCON, I can recruit National Guard units and I can build forts with my player points. Something that is very important, and I will hopefully begin building troops very soon. At cost a point, I don't have any more player points. So that's as good as I can do. So this is a slow burn. It's going to have to build up. We now move down to turn 3. We go to the random event phase. I roll a 15. 15 says crops restored. Place a farm counter in any region without a farm already present. Yay, that gives us another farm. Because all the activity's over here, I'm going to put it up here in Northwest. Trying to protect that and keep it away from the zombies. The zombies can spread. There are events that just say, oh, roll a random region and they pop up. But if you can get them contained, you can start whittling them away, and hopefully as you move the stuff down, the burst size down, you can start to get them under control. This isn't going well so far for me. You can see I've lost farms and cities, and this is ultimately not going to end well, I don't think, for me. The only other thing we have to do during this turn phase is I have a survivalist that is coexisting with a stack of 9 Zeds. So what we do is we compare the number on the counter, it's a 3, to the Z strength, which is a 2, and that determines how many dice I'm going to roll. If my number is greater than the number there, I get to roll 2d6 and remove that number of zombies. If it is equal to or less than, I only get to roll 1d6. So that's something that right now, that's good. This Z strength and Z toughness can eventually go up with random events. So my survivalist is going to go ahead and roll 2d6. They roll 6. So we're going to get rid of 6 of those zombies. There are still 3 there. That doesn't die because the Zeds aren't attacking. And we go ahead. Now, I feel like I've done something wrong. Does it die? Let me just look. Yeah, if there are Zeds left, then remove the unit. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that unit. And the survivalist doesn't go to the removed military. They also do not spawn additional zombies. So that's a good thing. So that's down to 3 zombies. That's not bad. Okay, so that's my turn. We're going to go to the start of turn 4. You can see this clips along pretty good. Once you know the rules, you can play this in about 30 minutes. There are additional scenarios that will add time to it. We'll talk about that when I talk about the review. Turn 4, random event phase. We roll a 45. I have to flip this over. 45, Zeds overactive. Zeds have 3 phase this turn. Treat the 3rd phase as Z phase 2. So it's the small phase. That sucks. I haven't rolled that one for quite a while. So we're going to go ahead and find the biggest zombies here. There are 15. We're going to do a Z burst. So that's 20. We're going to split those into two stacks of 10. And remember, during the first phase, they can attack. They're going to go ahead and attack these refugees. So they're going to kill the refugees, put a survivalist unit there, and we're going to roll a D6Z. So we rolled a 3. It's going to go up to the max. Ultimately, that gives 5 zombies. That's Z phase 1. Z phase 2, we're going to use this one still. It has the most zombies. It has 25 zombies. They're going to get the Z minimum as a burst. So we're going to add 2 more. So that gives 27. That is 13 and 14. Man, this is getting bad. Those Zeds are just growing and growing. So 13 and 14 is what. So there's 13. We're going to put 10 down there, and we're going to add a total of 4. So the largest stack will move first. My guess is New York City is its target. We're going to roll a 6. It rolls a 2. Now here's the other thing. I feel like these map spaces could have been a little bit bigger. A 2 is going to move it down to the Carolinas, so that's actually probably good for us. That's going to redistribute 2 stacks of 12, but they're now going to roll again. They roll a 2. It's going to go back up. Hey, they have a target now, the survivalist. The survivalist does get an attack, though. So they're going to roll 2d6. He kills 6, which isn't great. So that's going to leave a total of 6 zombies if I get rid of that. And you know what? This is a fun game. If you end up messing something up, it's not the end of the world. So the survivalist gets removed, and bam. That's the end of the second Z phase. Now, remember, we have a third one because we had that event, which really sucks. But it is what it is. So we go find the next biggest. So we have 15 total here. 12. It's still here. So we're going to do the minimum Z burst. So we're going to add 2. 6, 7, 10. 2 groups of 10. And we're going to roll a 6-sider to see where they move. They're going to move to 2. I'm not going to move them. Well, we'll move that down. They go to Carolina again. Roll again. They're going to redistribute. So it'll be 11 and 11. We rolled a 1. It's going to go back. Crap. Sometimes I've had this where you roll like 7 or 8. That's 11 and 11. So I think it's the same. Roll a 6. It's going to go up to New York City. And that city is going to be blasted. Everybody's going to be eaten. And we're going to put a max burst there because that's a city. All right, that's the end of those 3 Z phases, which stunk because we rolled that event. But it is what it is. So let's go to the player phase. Research. We're going to roll a D6. We have 1 research point. I rolled a 4. Nothing happens. Riots. 2, 4, 6, 8 cities and refugees. And we have a ton of farms. No rioting. We also have a food store of 1. Maybe we don't need to invest our points in food stores anymore until we get some of these zombies under control. They are going to start hitting our farms in the Midwest, though. Next, we're going to roll for PPs. Now, player points. We're going to roll 2d3. So a 5 is 3 points, and a 2 is 1. So we get 4. That's pretty good. The most you can get is 6 at this stage of the game. So let's go ahead and buy a research point for 1. Oh, by the way, you can only ever spend 1 player point on any one of these tracks. You can never spend 2 points to increase research by 2. You can only do 1. You can only do 1 on food per turn. You can only do 1 DEFCON per turn. So you can't do that again and again and again. We're going to spend 1 on DEFCON. Now I can recruit Marines and Army. And I still have 2. Oh, geez. There's just so many zombies there. So I got to ask myself, you ask yourself, where's the next zombie horde gonna move? This is the one that's going to activate, and they're either going to move here, New York, or start going back down. So I might want to start protecting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 1 on a fort. And forts, all they do is they're going to stop the advance of a certain amount of zombies. And if they stop all the ones that are in that area coming for it, they're going to save that city or that farm. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a U.S. Army for my last point. I'm going to put it in that fort. So the reason I'm doing the fort, I know they're going to attack there in the city, is because of the priority. There's a priority list here. It's set by scenario. City is first, farm is second, open is third. Anytime zombies move in, they're going to attack that in that priority. That can be shuffled based on whatever's going on with events, but that's what we're going to go ahead and do now. The important thing to know is I can now start to use airstrikes. Airstrikes are fairly ineffective unless you can somehow break the zombie toughness, because you're going to reduce that from dice rolls. So at this point, I've spent all my points. There's nobody in the same location, no military units, so my turn is over. We're going to go to turn 5. Random events, we rolled a 55. We have to flip it over. I think 55 is bad. It is. We're going to lose all of our research points. Yeah. Hilarious. So I lose all my research points. Great. I had 2. Total waste. Z phase 1. We're going to go to the phase that has 16. We're going to break them up. 2 stacks of 8. So we need another 5. Obviously, this is a little easier when I have both hands and don't have to reach around the camera. But you can see I'm struggling with that. So 8s, They're going to go ahead and attack the refugee because they have a target. They're going to kill him, spawn a survivalist, and roll a DCZ. We roll 2. They're only going to spawn 2 guys. So that was a little bit of a break. And Z phase 1 is over. That is still the biggest stack. That's now going to activate. That's one thing with the design. I wish maybe they would have, I don't know, maybe they should have changed that a little bit, because I feel like that happens quite a bit. The same stack ultimately ends up, or the same area keeps spawning. So it's very possible that I'm doing something wrong. But anyway, so we go here. We're going to do the Z minimum burst, which is 2. We're going to add 2 more as if they need more flipping zombies. They have to move first. So we roll a 6-sider. They roll a 4. If we look on their chart, they're now going to move into Ohio. Good, because you're now going to see how forts work and how military units work in defense of a city. And I'm going to tell you, this is not going to go well. There are just too many zombies. So ultimately, they're going to literally overrun me. All right, so the zombies' priority is to attack the city. I have protected the city with a fort and an army, U.S. Army counter. So what's going to happen is the army unit, as they attack, I'm going to compare my value to their strength. 3 to a 2, I'm going to roll 2d6. So I'm now going to get to roll 2d6 as they approach the fort. My guys are gunning them down. Hoping to roll good, I rolled a 6. Not terrible. So let's remove 6 total zombies. 5. So there will be 4 zombies left. Sorry, I remove. So actually, this may end up working out okay. I may end up stopping them. All right, so now the fort is going to do its roll. If it fails this roll, and it's only 1d6, they are going to overrun the fort, and they will destroy the army unit located in the fort. But it will protect the city this round, and then I can try to figure out how to get them. So this is good, but I really need to roll a 4 or higher. And of course I didn't. Of course I didn't. So I stop 2. Now, we don't kill them, but we prevent them from getting at us. The other 2, unfortunately, kill the fort, and they eliminate the army unit. That army unit goes into the removed military box, but the city is safe, at least for now. And that was the second zombie phase. So maybe we can get some fortunate rolls and try to stem that tide there and help ourselves. First phase, research. I have 0 research points. We skip that. Riots. There's no change. I still have enough farms to cover myself, which is a good thing. Farm and food reserve. I roll my dice, and of course, you can't make that up. I rolled a double 1, so I literally get 2 points. I got to get research, so I got to do 1 research. And then my next one, I think I'm going to go ahead and put an army unit back in that city because I can maybe kill these zombies before they can ultimately attack again. So I have spent now all my points. I can put that in there because there's no riot counters. I can put that directly in there. I'm also upset a little bit that I'm not using the DZs or the defense zones, but those are a little later game once you've gotten more points and are able to do a bit more control. So I've spent all my points. Now any military units that in their turn in an area with zombies get to attack. If they kill all the units there, they're going to stay alive. If they don't, they get killed. So let's start with my army. I'm going to roll 2d6 because his number is greater than the Z strength. I will let the dice speak for themselves. This just isn't my day. So I remove 2, and that U.S. Army unit is going to also be removed. So all of that money I spent there to try and protect myself completely was wasted just because I didn't roll well. The survivalist in New York is going to attack. Yay, he rolls a 9, which is amazing. If 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One shy. So ultimately, guess what's going to happen now? He's going to get eaten. But when a military unit gets eaten, they don't do a D6 of zombies, and a survivalist always goes back to the supply. So you can see I really whittled those down. So that's going to activate these couple of stacks, and they're just going to cut up to the heart of the Midwest and probably take me out. Did not go well. I could have had 15 different rolls, and I would now be sitting pretty with 2 units, a fort, and really these, and it would have been a totally different result at the end of the game, but that's just the way it is. It's just a game. We're now going to move to turn 6. I'm obviously not going to be able to remove all the zombies in a quick enough fashion, but we'll keep trying. So we start with random event phase, 55. Wasn't that what we rolled last time? Research. I lose all that research points. That's just hilarious. This is terrible. Z phase 1. So we have 11 here. I have a feeling that's going to be the one that we activate. Yep. So we're going to put a max Z burst. You know, by now I typically would have had the Z max move down 1 or something, but this has just been absolutely terrible. So I'm going to split those up. We're going to have 8 and 8. So I'm going to do... There's a 5. Give me... Once again, I'm doing this one-handed, guys. So there's 8. Let me put a second one. So 8 and 8. They're going to roll a die. There's nothing to attack. They're going to move it to 2. They're going to move up there and combine with these. So they're going to be 9 and 9. So we're going to roll again. And we roll a 1. A 1 goes back down to DC. 8. They're not going to change because 9 and 8. We're going to roll again. We roll a 6. They're going to go down to Florida. Remember I told you that sometimes this happens and it just ends up kind of being a little stupid. So we have 12. We're going to have stacks of 6 and 6. We're going to roll again. I almost hope they just go to Atlanta so that they stop rolling, and they do. So 6 zombies go there. They attack that city of Atlanta, create a refugees, do a D6Z, and they all of a sudden get 5 more zombies. End of Z phase 1. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So there's 10 there. So they're going to activate. So they get a minimum burst, which is 2. So we're going to do 2 stacks of 6. 2 stacks of 6. Let me go ahead and take the time to do that. I hope everybody's following me. We roll a 6-sider. We roll a 2. They're going to move down to the Carolinas. So that's 8 and 6, 14. We're going to do 7 and 7. We're going to roll again. They roll a 4. A 4 pushes them into Kentucky. All right, we're going to lose a farm here. So they're going to attack this farm because it's an available target. Add D6Z. We're going to add 5 zombies, the maximum burst. And the Z phase is over. Hey, we survived with really only losing a farm. Oh, we lost a city. We lost Georgia as well. Oh, well, it is what it is. All right, so let's go to our research. Hey, we have 0 research points thanks to that event number 55 that's hurt us twice now. We check for riots, 2, 4, 6, 7. We only have 7. We have enough farms and food reserve. We're good. Another thing to remember is once the last city is removed, you lose automatically. So we're not in danger of that. We actually have a good protection. I need to roll some, really need some good PPs here. And nope, we only get 2. Do 1 in research. This is just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm going to put an army unit here in that city. Unfortunately, we don't have enough to buy a fort, so he's not going to be that protected, but I think he'll be okay. I need to protect that city and that farm, and that's about what I can do right now. So that's all my PPs, all my points. So I haven't been able to move. research ahead. I haven't been able to move my DEFCON down to get biochem. I'm just not having a good time of it. But it's fun. Hey, you have a good time. So this ends in that with a zombie. We're going to roll 2d6. Fortunately, there were only 2 zombies there. I rolled a 2, so they get eliminated, or I would have just burned up another. Boy, these dice suck right now. It's just bad. So yeah, we're going to move now to turn 7. We're going to, so you can see it starts to go pretty quickly. Zed's strength increases by 1. That's not good. So now all my units are only going to roll 1d6 when they fight units, unless I can somehow get a research breakthrough and get that knocked down. Zed phase 1, we got to find the area with the most zombies. There's 7, 6, 7. That one's got 12. So we're going to 2 stacks of 6. Nope. Yep. 2 stacks of 6. No, that's not true. 16. 2 stacks of 8. I can't do math. So there's 8. And there's 8. So guess what? They're going to eat that refugee. It's just not been lucky with my refugees. A lot of times, cities are killed on the second Zed phase, and you're able to survive it a little bit, but this just isn't my day. So we're going to kill that refugee. We're going to place a survivalist, and they're going to get a D6Z. So they only get 2, which is good. That area is still going to be the largest. We're going to, I just added the 2 there, and we rolled a 1. Okay, so I'm going to show you the defense zone, which is a good thing. So once zombies try to move through a defense zone, and a defense zone literally just represents difficult terrain, mountains, lakes, rivers, deserts, whatever. I think the reds represent mountains. I feel like blue is water, so like Lake Michigan here. I'm not sure they explain what that color is. Kind of a grayish blue. It's not water. Maybe it is. Maybe that's the Mississippi. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Anyway, they're going to move here. What you're going to do is you're going to roll a d6 to see how many zombies in the moving stack actually get to or are left behind because it's just too difficult terrain. So 5 of those are going to be left behind, which isn't bad. So we're going to leave that 5 there. The other 4 are going to make it through to Louisiana, and there's no target. So they're going to roll again. Hey, we rolled a 1, so they're going to go back across. So we're going to roll that 6-sider again, and we rolled a 5. So they are not going to be able to penetrate that DZ, and that stack of zombies will stay there. I believe that was the second Zed phase. We now go to the player phase. We're going to roll research. We failed. We are going to look at riots. We're good. Oh, you know what? Yeah, riots were good. We're going to roll for our PPs. We get a total of 3. Do a research, and now we're going to have to try to buy some units here to protect, because we're going to start to get overrun. All right, so I'm going to spend 1 to buy a Marines unit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in this defense zone, because that's going to kind of hamper these guys as they move back and forth. Certain amount will have to stay behind. The ones that move through, I can attack, and then I'm going to be able to hopefully kill them. So let's do that. And then the second, I'm going to go ahead and show you what an airstrike is. I can do an airstrike. I gotta reduce the biochem or the DEFCON. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll show you an airstrike later. So that's the end of my turn. I do have the survivalist in the space. They are only going to roll 1d6 because of the strength. I'm going to remove 4 of them. 4. That leaves 10. He gets eaten. He doesn't add anything, and that's the end of the turn. We go to turn 8. Random event phase. 55, which reduces our research points for the 3rd time. Can't make this stuff up, guys. Zed phase 1. We have to find the space that has the most Zeds. I think it's Georgia. Yes, it is Georgia. With 10, we do the burst size, which is going to add 5. And then we break those up, a stack of 3 and a stack of 2. Roll to see if they move. Please move through that defense zone. Yes. So I rolled a 1. So they're going to try to move through this defense zone, which is going to be good for me. So the stack of 8, we're going to roll a 6-sider, but only one of them stays behind. So that means 7 zombies are moving through my Marines, my best unit. Their strength is a 4. The Z strength is a 3. I still get to roll 2d6. I'm hoping to roll 7. I'm going to roll these one at a time. Hey, I got a 5. Sorry. All I need is 1 or 2. I rolled 9. So they're going to kill all those zombies. So that ends that phase, and you can see being in those defense zones really helps. So now we move to the second Z phase. There's 8 there. There's 6 there. So it's still going to be here. Minimum burst. So that's going to be 10. 2 stacks of 5. Boy, I'm hoping they roll a 1 or a 2. Now they rolled a move. They rolled a 2. Yes. So now we're going to roll to see how many stay behind. Only 1 stays behind, so I may end up ultimately losing my Marine. But he will have done his job. So 4 are going to move through, right? What did I do wrong? I was supposed to leave 1. So 4 are going to move through. Didn't I do that right? Yeah, I may have done something wrong. I just 2d6, 8. So ultimately I kill those Zeds. Bam. That is the end of Z Phase 2. We're going to go ahead and do research. I can't roll. Riots were still under control. PPs. Okay, I rolled 4. So I get 4 PPs. That's pretty good. 1 research. It's probably too late in the game to really worry about that. But I still need those biochem. So I'm going to just show you an airstrike. It may not be the most important part of the game right now, but I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to reduce my airstrikes by 1. I now have 5 left. I'm going to pick an area, and their toughness is a 2. I would roll 1 6-sider. I'm actually going to go ahead and roll here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a d6 per 5 zombies, and even parts count. So there are 7 there. I'm ultimately going to roll 2d6. But from each of these die, I'm going to reduce the Z toughness. So I'm going to roll. Yeah. So my 1 is going to result in nothing. My 4 minus 2 toughness is going to remove 2. You know, that's why it's important to get toughness down with your research, but I haven't been able to show you that because I keep losing it. But it is what it is. I rolled 4. What did I do with my first? I did a research. I did I can do another airstrike, but I feel like buying a unit. So I'm going to buy my last Marine. And I'm actually going to place him there. And then I'm going to buy my last U.S. Army. Man, I feel like I'm being gutless. I am being gutless. I'm going to go ahead and do, nope. Put the Marine there and put my U.S. Army there. That way my Marine can have a chance of killing them. So that's all I've got. I've used all my PPs. Now they're in a zone. They rolled 8, so they're going to kill all these zombies. So that's important. I'm starting to clean them up. I'm starting to set up my perimeter. You know, it's going to be hard for them to get to the west. So at this point, I'm starting better to do my job. It would have been better if I'd have saved that fort and everything would have worked out, but it didn't, so that's it. Random events phase. 46. Let's see what we get. Z phase 1 burst happens in the second largest group. We had that one before. Hilarious. Some of these I've rolled never, and now I'm rolling them twice in the same. So once again, Z phase 1 burst is going to happen in the second largest group. So we've got 6, 7, 6, 3, 6. So we've got, this is the largest group, so they're going to get 5. We're going to break those in 2, so 6. Nope. That's not going to happen, Grant. You just read that. Z phase 1 burst happens in the second largest group. So, once again, this is the largest group. We're now 1, 2, 3. We're going to determine that randomly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm hoping that it's going to be in Florida. And it's here in DC. So that burst is going to happen in DC. What that means is here, this group is going to become a 4 and a 3. Put him right face up. So now we're going to roll. There's no targets for them to move. They roll a 6. They are going down to Florida. That's going to make that 2 stacks of 5 because there are, that now adds, that's not true. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So 5 and 5 is 10. They're going to roll again. They roll a 2, which pushes them to Georgia. So 5 and 5. So that makes that one a 6. We're going to roll again. They are going to go to Kentucky. We don't change anything. 6 and 5. We're going to roll again. They go to a 6, which pushes them down to Georgia. 6 and 5 equal stacks. We roll a 4. Oh, come on. It's going to push them into the Carolinas. So that's 9. So we're going to do 5 and 4. Going to roll again. Sorry. We do a 5. It's going to push them back into Georgia. 5 and 5. I've had some of these where it literally has lasted 5 minutes. Come on, 1 or 2. We rolled a 2. Why am I happy? Because they're now going to go through that defense zone. So we're going to roll to see how many of them stay back. Only 2 of them are going to stay back. That means 3 are going to move into my Marines. I get to attack. Bam. Kill them. So that ends Z phase number 1. We now go to the next area. They have 11. So they're going to get a minimum burst. 5, 10, 11. A stack of 7 and a stack of 6. I'm going to roll a 6-sider. They roll a 6. They go up to New York. So 8. They're going to have stacks of 4 and 4. Hope you guys like seeing my arm there. I apologize. It's really hard. I need a different rig or a different setup because I feel like it's hard to do games recording because of the setup that I have. So we're going to roll again. Roll a 2. A 2 is going to send them up here. Yeah, crap. To New England, which they're going to attack that city. Create a refugee, a D6Z. Of course, 5. Never roll anything other than the least amount. And that's it. The end of the Z phases. And I just destroyed my board. Not really. I just kind of moved. All right. Back to my phase research. Come on, 1. No, of course not. Riots. I am not in any danger of riots. I've really protected my farms fairly decently. We're going to go for PPs. A 5 is going to get me 3. A 3 is going to get me 2. That's 5. That's pretty good. We're going to increase PP 1. Rest of the time, I'm just going to try to lambast these guys and take them out. My weak spot is Illinois, so I'm going to buy a fort. Protect that city. And I'm going to buy a National Guardsman, which actually is going to do me no good because of the way their toughness is. I really want to get those Marines into action. So I can spend 1 PP to move a Marine. And then I can spend 1 PP to move another unit. So I just basically moved those units up because this is going to activate over here. I'm concerned about that. Oh, I wanted to do this, trying to protect that city because that's where they're going to come from. All right, that's all my PPs. I'm good. We end this. This Marine attacks. He rolls a 6. So I end up getting killed. Nothing happens though, but geez. Just the dice are not kind to me today at all. Round 10, last round. Random event phase, 41. DEFCON increased by 1. So that's goes up to a 3. I take that to, because they have a lowered. No, increased would be that way. Lowered is this way. So we are increasing DEFCON to 1. So at this point, we can use nukes. You know, I got to ask myself, is it worth... Yeah, we'll figure that out after this turn, because what we're going to be trying to do is clean off Zeds. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that very effectively, but we'll see. All right, Zed Phase 1. Who has the most? I think it's this guy. So they have 9. 9, 4, 4, 6. So they are here. So they're going to get that max burst. 2 stacks of 7. Refugee is going to get eaten. Survivalist is coming out. D6Z is going to add 5. Jeez. And that's the end of that. So that group's going to activate again. They're the largest now. We're going to add 2. So there's 9. 9 and 7, 16, 21. So it's going to be 11 and 11. 11 and 11. 2 stacks of 11. All right. They're going to move. They're going to roll a 1. They're going to go here. I will say this. There is a... I realize I'm covering up that quite a bit. You'll notice the 6, it says remove Zeds because they move out of the country. They're going to become Canada's problem. That doesn't happen a whole lot, I've found. I wish it did, but it doesn't. So we've got these guys combining. 11 and 4 is 15. So we're going to do 8 and 7. 5 and 5. 6, 7, 8. And 7. This game's fun. I enjoy it. Roll a 6-sider. We roll a 5. They're going to go down to DC. Combine with those. 7 and 7. Roll again. A 1. Push them down to the Carolinas. 7 is 11. So that's going to be 6 and 5. There's 6, 3, 4, 5. They're going to roll again. They're going to go to, where's 4? They're going to go to Kentucky. Won't change the stacks. They're going to roll. They're going to go to Georgia. They're just roaming, looking for targets. They're not having much luck. They're going to go. So they would have combined 5, 6, 7. So 4 and 3. 1, 2, 3. And they're going down to Florida. Sorry, it's starting to get a little messy here, guys. They're going to combine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and 4. They're going to roll again. They don't combine. A 2. That's going to push them into Georgia. 3, 6, 7. So 4 and 4. Let's do that. They're going to roll again. Come on, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 4. We're going to roll again. 5. They're going to go back to Georgia. Nothing changes with the stacks. A 3. Going to push them into Kentucky. Jeez, this is getting ridiculous. We're going to roll another 6-sider. I almost want to just pick. Okay, they're going to roll 2. They're going to go here. One of them's going to stay behind, so I'm going to have a chance to kill several with my army guy. He's only going to roll 1d6, though. Ah, he rolled a 6. So I kill all 4 of those, which is good. And that stops the second zombie activation. So those defense zones can be very valuable. You can put a fort there. You can put 2 units there. There's no limit. That can be very, very important. And frankly, you can see that I've done okay. My score is not going to be good. But it's not going to be as bad as it could have been. So now let's go to my turn. Research. Please get a... Nope. Riots, no. We're going to roll 2d6. I get 3. Jeez. Ridiculous. So at this stage of the game, my goal is to try to clear out as many regions as possible. As many regions as possible. Because a clear region gives you victory points. So I'm going to spend... What I'm going to do is I'm going to spend some time... I'm going to spend some points moving into areas that I believe I can... So I'm going to spend a point to move my Marines there because I think they can take them out. Yeah, these are just so tough. I'm not sure I can take them out. I'm going to do an airstrike. So I'm going to do 2d6 because there's 6 there. So they're going to take 4 losses. So that's good. That takes them down to 2. Gives me the confidence to move my army unit in there. And now we end my turn. We're going to attack every stack that we have a unit. So my 2 Marines. Eliminate that entire stack of 4. My army only gets 1d6. They roll 1, therefore they are killed. It's stupid. And that survivalist up there also is only going to roll 1, and they remove 1 guy, so that didn't help me at all. And I realized I made a mistake because that had 11 zombies up there. I thought that was 6. So you can see I made mistakes because I'm trying to do everything. So that's the end of the game. So now we're going to go to the end of the rule book. Let me show you the handy dandy player victory level table. And I'm going to go through and we're going to point out where we score victory points and keep a running total. So, cities without a riot counter on it that are still alive. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 5 cities, right? 5 cities. Those are worth 3 points apiece. That's 15. City with a riot counter, we had no riots. We actually kept, really our farms never got touched. Refugee without a riot counter. Do we have any refugees? No. So we're at 15. 1 point for every farm. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10. We're at 25. Region without Zeds or nuclear counters in it. You might be asking yourself, well, Grant, why didn't you nuke things? Well, nuking an area to get rid of zombies just so you can have a clear region and score points from it doesn't make sense because you can't score because there's now going to be an atomic fallout counter there. So we're at 25. And I get 1 point for every clear region. There are a total of 20 regions. So 1, 2, 3. There are 6 of those that have zombies in them. I score 14 points. We scored a grand total of 39. 39 is awful. Awful. So I didn't do the worst you can do, but I did awful. So there you have it, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. That is my playthrough of World War Z USA. The game's fun. It's simple. Not a lot of rules overhead. There's some interesting choices. There's a lot of dice luck. But you know what? Overall, it's a 30 to 40 minute game that plays differently every single time. And the difference is, remember at the very beginning of the game, I rolled to start off where the first outbreak is going to happen. And we started it in the Carolinas. So you can see it can happen anywhere. My preferred location for it to happen in is the West Coast. Sorry, all my friends on the left coast, but It's the best when it happens out here because it's hard for these zombies to get to the east. I can put a fort and units here, and man, you can keep those guys from never getting to that point. Now, once again, there's random encounters or random events that can pop them up over here. But if it happens out west, I'm always happy because I feel like I can control that. Happening on the East Coast is terrible, although you can see I didn't do that terribly bad. It happens in Texas. I'm pretty mad because a lot of times I'll lose all my farms. Happens in Wisconsin, that's bad because I'll lose my farms. When you start losing your farms, you're going to put riot counters everywhere. When there's riot counters, you can't do anything with those units. You can't even spawn army men there or build forts. And it just makes it really hard. So it's different every time. I had some really bad dice luck. You saw I rolled double one snake eyes how many times? 2 or 3 times? And it just killed me. Just killed me. There were times where I could have seriously made some headway, but I didn't. But you know what? The best thing about this game is you can set it up. 30 minutes, you can play another game. It's just fun. So there you go. An hour and 5-minute video for a 30-minute game. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to give you a little more in-depth look at it and talk about my thoughts in a follow-up review video. So thanks for watching. I've been Grant for the Player's Aid.